My name is Annie Williams, Annie V. Williams, and I was born in Johnston, South Carolina. After a year, my mom and my dad moved to South Bay, so I was raised there all my life until I got married and transferred up here to Tampa. My childhood was very simple. Grew up with my sisters and brothers in the house. Two older brothers, one older sister, one younger sister. I was kind of like a tomboyish. Played football, played softball, baseball out in the big field. We used to have old rims, and we would make clothes hangers, and we would roll the rims on the clothes hangers. We would roll tires, climb trees, play jump rope, hopscotch, all kinds of different games that you can name. My mom and my dad, they were good people. I love them. My dad, he drank a lot. And my mom, she was a Christian. We would always went to church all our lives. That's all we knew. Even though my dad drank a lot, he sometimes went to church with us too. We didn't do a whole lot of going out with different people. We were kind of like we stayed at home. We went to church, went to school. My mom was kind of real tight on us. We was kind of strict, I would say. We always wore dresses and skirts. The girls started dating real young, but we weren't allowed to do that, which was fine with me. I had to get. When we was in the elementary school, I was in a spelling bee. I think it was West Palm Beach. We had a spelling bee, and we went to a spelling bee. And one word, when it was my turn to spell, to spell my word, I got up on the stage and I forgot it. I couldn't think of it for nothing in the world. And it was a very simple word, and that word was fear. And I got up there, my mind went blank, and I couldn't spell the word. And I felt so bad when I got off the stage, because once you didn't spell it right, you had to come off. And that was my word that I couldn't spell. My teenage years, I was an A and B student in high school, and I was very fearful, so I didn't talk to a lot of people, just the people that I grew up with in my neighborhood. I started dating in the 9th grade, I believe it was. My boyfriend came to our house and asked my mom if he can come and see me. And she said it was all right, so we started dating, but we didn't go out to date. We always had to come to the house and sit in the living room. We weren't allowed to go in the room and stuff like that, but we had to sit in the living room at all times. We had to have a little space in between us while we're sitting on the couch and stuff. And my mom would always, she would sometimes sit in the room, and then sometimes she'd be in the kitchen, but she can always hear what was going on. I got pregnant when I was in the 12th grade, but I did graduate because I was like, I think I graduated when I was like 5 months pregnant, so they allowed me to graduate and have a baby. I managed having a baby, working. I was still living at home with my mom and dad. By that time I was working full time. My mom, she was always home. My sister, she helped out with the baby while I went to work. She was a great help. My mom too. They helped a lot with my baby. I managed that very well. In '75, I got born again. I knew church all my life, went to church all my life. And it seemed like everywhere I went, someone was ministering to me about getting saved. When you gonna get saved? When I get saved, I want to make sure that this is what I want to do. Because once I get saved, it's no turning back. My boyfriend at the time, he went off to be in the service. He got born again overseas, and then he came back. And then the next year we got married. That was my baby's daddy. I think a lot of people thought I I got born again just to get married because my husband was saved, but that wasn't the reason. I got saved because I believe God was calling me. Because even when I was walking down the street down there, I hear people calling me, but nobody don't be around. So I took that to be God calling me. The friends that I was hanging out with at the time, I had to let them go because they were going out still. They seemed like they didn't want their lives changed. After that, it was me and God, We stayed down in South Bay for a few more years, like 6 years. We both worked. I was still with the state at the time. And then his job, the job he was on, transferred us up in Tampa. Adjusting from a small town to a big city was hard. I'd never been to a big city, never away from my family, didn't have family up here, didn't know anybody. That was very hard for me. We didn't have a church to go to, so we would go all the way back to South Bay to go to church. That started, getting a little expensive, so we had to kind of space it out. Instead of going every week, we kind of started going every month until we adjusted up here. Started to get to know people up here. We actually started a ministry here in Tampa. We started having Bible study in our house. After a year, I believe it was, we got a building and we started having services in the building. Things happened and we had to close that down. So we started going to different churches around Tampa. A couple of churches we stayed like maybe one or 2 years. Finally, when we started watching different ministries on TV, we turned on the TV one Sunday morning and we saw Pastor Dollar. When we turned on Pastor Dollar, he said something about being here in Tampa. He was coming to Tampa. So we got the address of Revealing Truth Ministries, and we were going to pay a visit to see Pastor Dollar. So by the time we got the information, I called Revealing Truth Ministries, and Pastor Poe answered the phone. We were just calling to see if Pastor Dollar's still in town. And he said, "Oh, you just missed him. But you still can come to church though, still come." So I said, okay. The next service night, me and the children went, and it was kind of strange because we weren't used to the type of service that was going on there. The way they did service was totally different than the way we did it back home. Oh, we had to get used to all the hugging. They did a lot of hugging and greeting you, which was something that we weren't totally used to, at least from church people.
The only thing you can do for another person if you don't have the anointing and the power of God operating in your life is have pity on their condition.
And we were used to the hooping and the hooping, and Pastor Poe just stood there and taught the word. We had to get used to that. So, well, we stayed there. When we got home, I told Larry about it. So the next time we went to service, he went with us. And when he got there, the first time that he went there, he said that this is the place that we should have been the whole time. Things happen, my husband stayed there probably about a year, and he had to leave. I'll say that. I think about a year. He had to leave. all my children were still with me. All of them started serving, and the children started, well, they weren't old enough to serve. Luana was, but Dee and Farrah wasn't. But they was involved with the children's ministry.
Teens ministry, children's ministry. We was on the soul winning team, praise team.
We were there when the choir first started.
Oh, yeah.
With Deaconess Mildred.
And our mom was over at the bookstore, well, the tape ministry.
Yeah,
we
at
didn't
that
have
time.
like we have here, but a little small little room.
It was a lady that was doing the tape ministry. I think she was doing it by herself, really. I asked her if I could help just type the labels for her and stuff like that. So I started doing that, and then she started not coming to church. Then I would go back in and do what she did. One night, Pastor Poe's secretary called me and said, Pastor Poe said, do you want to be over the tape ministry? I said, yeah, sure. So that's how I got into tape ministry. And I started, interacting with people more and more. So I started getting involved with people because people used to say I was mean. But I don't think I was mean. I was just, I guess, I wouldn't say strict, but firing.
Miss Annie was mean, so I thought, until I got to know her.
My first impression of Miss Annie.
Whew, she's a strong woman.
She doesn't smile. She wasn't smiling.
She was just straight to the point. You knew exactly what she was thinking all the time.
And after that, it's been a loving relationship.
She was just no nonsense.
Very no nonsense. If you needed something, you needed to say what you wanted. There was no, I need. No, what do you need?
If you need something, Miss Annie is one of the people that you can call, and if it's in her realm, if she can do it, she's gonna do it.
She's always been working with tapes, and at the time, I was in the children's ministry.
When she came to church, the children were with her all the time. I remember on 56th Street, Pastor would call Laveri up. He would call her up to sing, and we would all be like, this little girl gonna come up and sing? And she could really sing at that age.
I remember when Veridan was young, Luana was still in, she was in high school.
I mean, we were here 24/7.
We
On the
were
weekends
here.
when we didn't have nothing to do, we'd walk up to the church. Because it was just, that's how much we wanted to be a part and how much we just loved being there.
You can see how Miss Annie raised them to be respectful, to be committed. You even see her children are committed.
My impression of Miss Annie, it did change, but not the way probably most people saw her. She was thought of as being mean, but I think once you got to know her, you understood that she was like cotton on the inside, although she doesn't want you to know that. But she's a very nice person, and she will give you her last.
Pastor Poe, I don't know if I mentioned it, Pastor Poe, or not. I had a passion about working at the church. One day, it was at a wedding. After the wedding, I was on my way out, and Pastor Poe called me, and he said, Miss Annie, you still want to work at the church? I said, yeah. And then he asked me how much time I need to give my supervisor to let them know that I was going to change jobs. And I told him I had to give him at least 2 weeks. I believe that was God telling me it's time now for you to be here. And then Monday when I went to work, I went to my supervisor's office and I told him, I said, yeah, I'm going to work at my church. He told me that he will give me a raise if I would stay. I said, nah, no, that's okay, but I'm going to work at my church. I was secured in God enough that knowing that he's going to take care of me and my family. And 2 weeks later, I came here. I look back over a lot of people that I grew up with. They're either passed away, they're on the streets, on drugs. A lot of them I don't even know where they are. If I wouldn't have gotten saved and moved away, I really don't know where I would be. I really don't. It's been times that I would start something and not finish it because of the shyness and the fear that I had. A lot of people kept telling me, oh, you should do this, you should go for this, another level. I say, nah, I don't want to be that because you had to deal with people. And I wasn't ready to do that because I was scared. I had once started a college course. Back then we had mail-in courses. And I was doing very well in the course. It was an English course. I had to take a test. And I was too afraid and too shy to ask someone to like oversee the test for me. I was too afraid to do that. So that's something I didn't complete. Being shy and fearful, that held me back a lot because I was afraid to go beyond where I was. So being shy, that's a very hard thing because you miss out on a lot of things and a lot of growth, a lot of opportunities that come along. You miss out on it because of the shyness and the fearfulness.
And do you feel like that fearfulness could have started at the spelling bee? Because if you look at it, the word you choked up on was fear.
It was fear. Fear followed me for a long time. I started coming here, getting into the word. God had brought me out of the shyness that I was in over time because I had to start speaking up for myself. I had to start figuring things out for myself, getting up in front of people, being director, getting up talking to people. I had to write everything down and go read it word for word. And that kind of helped out too. So I know how people saying that they're shy and fearful. I know the feeling. So, but just ask God to help you, and He will. He will do that. But you got to be willing to do something too. You just can't stand back and just stay in this shell. You got to make a step to come out. I still have to write things down, but I can kind of read off a few things and then elaborate a little bit more. So I'm getting better. Like this interview here, getting better.
You know how sometimes you can go to people and you already know you did wrong, and you feel the judgment as they give you counseling. But Miss Annie, there's never no judgment. She's just Miss Annie. She'll be like, you know you were supposed to do that, and you're like, I know.
She just stands and holds true to God's word, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what people may say about the situation or about her. It just, it's like rain that repels off of a raincoat. It doesn't affect her.
If everybody could be as nice as sweet as Miss Annie in this church, we would never have a problem having people move down. She has been here forever. She's never lost touch. And if I need something, my department needs something, anybody needs anything, you can always call Miss Annie and she'll direct you to the right one, or she'll do it herself.
My children are, I think they are the most wonderful children in the world. All my children is serving God. My son, he's in California. He spent some years in the Navy, and now he's a certified barber, going to be a masseuse. And my girls, they're doing great. 2 of them work here at the ministry, and the other one, she's working with the Hardimans. I am very proud of my children. Very, very proud of them. Even though they're my children, they're also my sisters. And I love them, and I appreciate them. We're a strong unit.
The moment I saw the changes, when them grandbabies started coming, they're animated, so it brought it out of her. And
the fruit that Miss Annie, the seed she sown, look at her children. They have children, and those are her children's children. Look at the legacy. That's awesome. From the seed she sown way back on 56th Street, having those children here. And if you look at her children now, they have their children here early in the morning also. And these are little children we're talking about. And they're here early in the morning because they have to be here. And Miss Annie did the same thing.
To the shy, quiet Annie Williams, I would say it was a struggle, but with the help of God and strong people around you, at the end you did good. Things come, things go, things happen. People disappoint you, people hurt you, but God is God always, and He's the one who's gonna keep you safe, gonna keep you strong, and He's the only one you can really, really depend on no matter what. Pastor Paul, his famous quote that I always stand by is, "I will not quit. Therefore, I cannot be defeated." Out of the 7 pillars of this vision, I stand on stability.